What if I told you that the ability to let go could be the ultimate key to freedom? Emotional detachment isn't about being cold or indifferent. It's about protecting your peace, understanding your boundaries, and living a life unshaken by the chaos of emotions. This isn't just a philosophy. It's a way of life, and the Stoics mastered it centuries ago. Imagine being able to walk away from toxic relationships, unhealthy habits, or overwhelming situations without feeling shattered. That's emotional detachment. And in this video, I'll show you how the timeless wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus can help you embrace this superpower. We'll explore how to release the need for external validation, overcome attachments, and focus on what truly matters. So, if you're ready to break free from emotional chains and step into your most resilient self, let's dive in. But first, like this video if you're ready to embrace emotional freedom and take control of your inner peace. Rule 1. Recognize the illusion of control. The ego often tricks us into thinking we can control external events and the reactions of others. This belief creates a sense of dependency on external validation and an unhealthy attachment to outcomes beyond our control. As a result, we become emotionally entangled in things that ultimately aren't ours to control. But the truth is, we can only control how we respond to life, not what happens to us. By recognizing this illusion, we free ourselves from unnecessary stress and the weight of trying to control everything around us. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, hits the nail on the head with this insight. We often think that life is happening to us, that events are beyond our control, and that they dictate our happiness. But the reality is that we have the power to decide how we respond to everything that happens. No matter how chaotic or challenging life gets, we always have the freedom to control our reaction to it. This internal power is what Stoicism encourages us to cultivate. Our responses, our emotions, and ultimately our peace of mind. Reflect on what you can and cannot control. Start by taking a moment to identify the things in your life that are within your control and those that are not. You might be surprised at how much of your stress is coming from trying to manage what's outside your realm of influence. Focus on what you can do, like how you respond to situations and the effort you put into your own growth. Everything else is beyond your grasp, and trying to control it only leads to frustration. Practice self-affirmation. A powerful way to counteract the desire for external validation is through self-affirmation. Remind yourself regularly of your worth and your unique strengths. This practice helps build confidence that doesn't depend on the approval or opinions of others. Instead of looking for validation from external sources, affirm that your value comes from within. You are enough as you are. By integrating these steps into your daily life, you will start to recognize how much emotional freedom comes from letting go of the illusion of control. You will feel more peaceful and empowered, knowing that your happiness is ultimately in your own hands. What's one thing you're ready to emotionally detach from? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. Rule 2. Avoid idolizing others. When we place others on pedestals, we create an unhealthy emotional dependency. We often believe that certain people, whether they are loved ones, celebrities, or role models, hold some special power or wisdom that makes them superior to us. This mindset leads us to put our self-worth in their hands, hoping for their approval or fearing their rejection. The more we idolize others, the more we attach our happiness and sense of security to them, leaving us vulnerable to disappointment, resentment, and emotional instability. The truth is that everyone, no matter how accomplished or admired, is equally human and equally vulnerable. Behind the facade of strength, perfection, or influence, everyone faces struggles, insecurities, and personal challenges. No one is invincible, and no one has an unbreakable hold over your happiness. Realizing this liberates you from the need to depend on someone else for validation, giving you the freedom to grow and live authentically. Shift focus inward to self-growth. Instead of idolizing others, direct your energy and attention to cultivating your own personal growth. Invest in your skills, your health, your emotional well-being, and your sense of purpose. Focus on what makes you uniquely you, and realize that your worth doesn't come from being validated by others, but from the strength you build within yourself. By shifting the spotlight from external figures to your own growth, you'll find a sense of fulfillment and confidence that no one can take away from you. Adopt an abundance mindset. An abundance mindset is the understanding that there's enough of everything: love, success, happiness, and opportunity to go around. When you believe that the universe has plenty to offer, you're no longer driven by fear of losing someone or something. Instead of desperately holding on to one person or outcome, you open yourself up to a world full of possibilities. You will realize that losing one person or situation doesn't take away from your worth, and that other meaningful connections and opportunities are out there waiting for you. By avoiding the trap of idolizing others and focusing on your own personal growth, you empower yourself to live with confidence and emotional independence. You will realize that your happiness is within your control, and you'll no longer be dependent on anyone or anything to feel complete. Rule 3. Cultivate detachment in practice. Letting go can lead to something better. One of the hardest things we often face in life is the struggle to detach, whether it's from a person, a situation, or even a particular belief we've held onto for years. We hold on tight, believing that if we just keep our grip strong enough, we can prevent loss. But the truth is, letting go opens up new possibilities. The act of releasing emotional attachment is not about giving up. It's about making room for something better, something more aligned with your true growth. Imagine holding on to a rope so tightly that your hands start to ache and your muscles feel like they might tear. You're afraid to let go because you fear what might happen if you do. But what if letting go doesn't lead to a fall? What if it allows you to stretch out your hands and grab onto something even more rewarding, something you couldn't have reached while clinging to the rope? Detachment works in the same way. It isn't about losing everything. It's about freeing yourself to grab what's meant for you. By releasing what's weighing you down, you can embrace opportunities that are far more fulfilling than you ever imagined. Take, for example, the experience of being in a relationship that has grown comfortable but also limiting. You may find yourself holding on to it because it feels safe, even if it no longer brings you joy or growth. I've been there, holding on to something familiar because the unknown seemed terrifying. But when I finally allowed myself to let go, I discovered not only new opportunities for personal growth, but also the potential for relationships that were more aligned with my evolving needs. It's hard at first, but it's often when we let go of what no longer serves us that life surprises us with something better. One of the biggest obstacles to detachment is the fear of missing out, FOMO. It's easy to get caught in the trap of comparing your life to others' highlight reels on social media, thinking that everyone else is living their best life while you're stuck. But the reality is, no one's life is as perfect as it appears online. Social media is a curated snapshot, not a reflection of everyday life. When you stop focusing on other people's stories, you'll start to live your own. Stop worrying about what you're missing and focus on what you can create. Embrace your journey, even if it doesn't look the same as someone else's. Your path is uniquely yours, and by letting go of comparisons, you create space for a fulfilling and authentic life. By practicing detachment, you're not abandoning anything that truly matters. You're simply making room for growth, new opportunities, and the freedom to fully embrace your own story. Letting go isn't a loss. It's an invitation to experience life more fully and to open yourself up to the infinite possibilities the universe has in store for you. Rule 4. Define happiness on your terms. Happiness is not something that can be found outside of yourself. It is an internal state that you cultivate through your thoughts, actions, and mindset. We often look to external circumstances, material possessions, relationships, or societal approval to provide us with happiness. But true happiness, the kind that is lasting and unshakable, comes from within. When you realize that your sense of well-being does not depend on things or people, you unlock the power to create your own happiness. As Epictetus wisely said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This Stoic insight teaches us that our happiness isn't defined by the abundance of external possessions or accolades we collect. Instead, it's about how we manage our desires and cultivate contentment with what we already have. When we reduce our cravings for more, we make space for the peace that comes from appreciating what's already present in our lives. The less we depend on the outside world to validate our worth, the more we can experience happiness on our own terms. Focus on self-improvement and personal growth. The journey to happiness starts with self-improvement. When you make personal growth a priority, you begin to understand that your value is not determined by external factors. Focus on developing your strengths, learning new skills, and building resilience. By striving to become the best version of yourself, you create a foundation for happiness that is rooted in your own abilities, not in others' opinions. Take time each day to engage in activities that enhance your well-being, whether it's through exercise, meditation, reading, or pursuing a hobby. Every step you take toward personal growth adds to your sense of accomplishment and contentment, making it easier to find joy in the process rather than waiting for external validation. Realize your worth is independent of others' approval. One of the biggest traps we fall into is basing our happiness on the approval of others. We seek validation through likes, comments, and praise, mistakenly believing that others' opinions of us define our worth. The truth is, your worth is inherent and independent of anyone else's perspective. By embracing the Stoic principle of focusing on what is within your control, your thoughts, actions, and growth, you free yourself from the burden of needing constant external affirmation. Practice self-affirmation regularly, reminding yourself of your unique qualities and strengths. Understand that your happiness is not conditional on what others think of you, but on your ability to accept and love yourself as you are. Rule 5. Embrace the present moment. The present moment is all we truly have. Often, we get trapped in the past, rummaging through old regrets, wishing we had done things differently, or we get lost in the future, consumed by anxiety over what may or may not happen. But the truth is, these thoughts about the past and future take us away from the power of the present. Living fully in the moment frees you from these burdens and allows you to embrace life as it is right now. By focusing on the here and now, you cultivate a sense of peace and clarity that is unavailable when we are distracted by what has been or what might be. As Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, wisely said, "Confine yourself to the present." This simple yet profound advice calls us to keep our focus on the current moment. The present is the only time we can control, and by immersing ourselves in it, we can make the most of every experience. Whether it's the simple act of breathing or the deeper moments of connection with others, the present offers us opportunities that the past and future can never provide. Practice mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully aware of the present moment without judgment. When we are mindful, we engage with our environment and thoughts with complete awareness, without getting lost in them. This helps break the cycle of ruminating on the past or worrying about the future. One way to develop mindfulness is through meditation. Set aside time each day, even if it's just for 5 minutes, to sit quietly and focus on your breath. Notice the sensations in your body, the sounds around you, and the thoughts that come and go. By practicing meditation, you train your mind to remain centered in the present, bringing you back to a state of calm whenever distractions arise. Cultivate gratitude for what you have today. Gratitude is a powerful tool to bring you into the present moment. When we take the time to appreciate the small things, Whether it's a warm cup of coffee in the morning, a good conversation, or a beautiful sunset, we shift our attention from what we lack to what we have. This shift can dramatically increase our sense of peace and contentment. Begin a daily gratitude practice. Each evening, reflect on 3 things you are grateful for. They can be big or small, but the act of pausing to recognize what is good in your life pulls you back into the present moment and helps you let go of unnecessary worries. By focusing on the blessings of today, you release the grip of past regrets and future anxieties, creating space for joy and fulfillment. Rule 6. Reframe your thoughts. Our thoughts shape how we experience the world. In fact, our emotions are often the result of how we interpret and perceive situations. A negative thought can trigger stress, anxiety, or even sadness, while a positive or neutral thought can bring about peace, clarity, and joy. The Stoics understood that our mental state is not determined by external circumstances, but by how we choose to think about them. By reframing our thoughts, changing the way we interpret events, we have the power to shift our emotional state and, ultimately, our experience of life. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, expressed this idea beautifully when he said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This means that the thoughts we hold, whether positive or negative, paint our emotional landscape. If we fill our minds with pessimism, fear, and self-doubt, we will experience those emotions. But if we nurture thoughts of possibility, growth, and self-belief, our emotional world will reflect that. Identify and challenge negative thought patterns. The first step in reframing your thoughts is to become aware of your current mental habits. Pay attention to the negative thoughts that arise during the day. These might include beliefs like, "I'm not good enough," "I can't handle this," or "things will never get better." Once you identify these thoughts, ask yourself, are they true? What evidence do I have to support them? More often than not, you'll find that these thoughts are based on assumptions, fears, or past experiences, not on objective facts. Challenge these beliefs by looking for counterexamples or reminding yourself of times when you've succeeded or handled difficult situations. The more you question these negative thought patterns, the easier it becomes to recognize and let go of them. Once you've identified the negative thoughts, the next step is to replace them with more empowering ones. Affirmations are powerful tools for changing your mindset. For example, if your thought is, "I'll never succeed," replace it with, "I am capable of achieving my goals, and every step forward is progress." If you think, "I'm not worthy of love," replace it with, "I am deserving of love and respect." The key is to make your affirmations realistic and aligned with your values. By repeating these positive affirmations daily, whether aloud or silently, you begin to rewire your brain, gradually shifting your mindset to one that supports your growth and well-being. Over time, these new thoughts will replace the old, limiting beliefs, giving you a more empowered, resilient perspective. Your thoughts are not just passive reactions to the world. They are active creators of your reality. Rule 7. Set healthy boundaries. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define where you end and others begin. They are essential for protecting your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. Setting healthy boundaries means recognizing your needs and taking proactive steps to communicate and maintain your limits, ensuring that you don't overextend yourself or allow others to infringe on your emotional space. By doing so, you can preserve your energy, protect your sense of self, and maintain healthy, balanced relationships. Healthy boundaries are not about creating walls that isolate you from others. Rather, they are about establishing respect for yourself and your values. When you respect your own limits, others are more likely to respect them too. This practice is not selfish. In fact, it is an essential act of self-care and self-respect. Communicate your limits clearly and calmly. One of the first steps in setting healthy boundaries is learning to communicate your limits. It's important to be clear and direct about what is acceptable and what is not. For example, if you're overwhelmed with work and someone asks you for an additional favor, you might say, "I'd love to help, but I'm at capacity right now. I can help at a later time." The key is to be calm and assertive, not aggressive or apologetic, when expressing your needs. When setting boundaries, it's crucial to remember that you don't owe anyone an explanation beyond what you feel comfortable sharing. You're not obligated to justify your choices. A simple, "This is what I need for my well-being," is enough. Understand that boundaries are a form of self-respect. Many people avoid setting boundaries because they fear it might make them seem rude, selfish, or uncaring. However, boundaries are actually an expression of self-respect. By setting boundaries, you are communicating that your needs and emotional health matter. You are telling others that you value your time, energy, and peace of mind. Recognizing the importance of boundaries in protecting your emotional space is essential. If you constantly overextend yourself for others or ignore your own limits to keep the peace, you risk burnout, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. Setting boundaries helps maintain a sense of balance in your life, ensuring that you can show up as your best self, both for others and for yourself. Rule 8. Engage in self-care. Self-care is a crucial practice that allows us to maintain balance and resilience in our busy lives. It involves prioritizing activities that nurture your body, mind, and spirit, enabling you to handle life's challenges with strength and clarity. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca wisely said, "A sound mind and a sound body is a short but full description of a happy state." This quote emphasizes the importance of both mental and physical well-being. When we take time to care for ourselves, we improve our ability to face difficulties and maintain inner peace. One essential aspect of self-care is regular exercise. Engaging in physical activity not only benefits your body, but also has a positive impact on your mind. Exercise releases endorphins, which help reduce stress, lift your mood, and improve your overall sense of well-being. Whether it's going for a walk, practicing yoga, or hitting the gym, staying active gives you more energy and enhances your physical health. Over time, exercise builds resilience, making you stronger and better equipped to handle life's challenges. Another vital component of self-care is meditation. Taking time each day to meditate or practice mindfulness helps you clear your mind and reduce stress. In a world filled with distractions and constant busyness, meditation provides an opportunity to pause and reconnect with the present moment. Even just a few minutes of deep breathing or focused attention can create a sense of calm and clarity, allowing you to approach problems with a peaceful mind. Pursuing hobbies is also an important part of self-care. Whether it's painting, reading, gardening, or playing music, hobbies provide a sense of joy and fulfillment. They give you a break from daily stresses and remind you of what makes you happy. Engaging in activities you enjoy helps you recharge, ensuring that you can continue to approach life's demands with a fresh perspective. In addition to physical and mental care, building supportive relationships is key to your overall well-being. Surrounding yourself with positive, uplifting people can provide emotional support, reduce stress, and increase your happiness. Relationships with friends, family, or a community of like-minded individuals offer a safe space for connection, understanding, and growth. Rule 9. Practice gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful practice that can shift our mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance. By focusing on what we have, rather than what we lack, we can cultivate a sense of fulfillment and peace. The philosopher Epictetus reminds us, "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not." This quote encourages us to appreciate the present moment and the blessings in our lives, rather than constantly yearning for more. When we practice gratitude, we begin to see life through a lens of abundance, which helps us feel more content and grounded. A simple way to incorporate gratitude into your daily routine is through journaling. Each day, Take a moment to write down 3 things you are grateful for. These can be big or small, whether it's the warmth of the sun, a good conversation with a friend, or the health of a loved one. By regularly reflecting on these positive aspects of life, you train your mind to notice the good, even during difficult times. This practice fosters a deeper appreciation for your current circumstances, helping you shift away from negative thought patterns. Focusing on present blessings is another key aspect of gratitude. In a world that often pushes us to look for the next goal or achievement, it's easy to forget the value of what we already have. When you feel the urge to compare yourself to others or focus on what you don't have, take a step back and remind yourself of the things that are already enriching your life. This can include simple pleasures like a cozy home, a supportive family, or the beauty of nature. By actively acknowledging these blessings, you become more attuned to the abundance that surrounds you. Rule 10. Embrace emotional freedom. True emotional freedom comes from learning to love without clinging, without tying your happiness or self-worth to external people or circumstances. It's about understanding that your happiness doesn't depend on anyone else completing you. Your self-worth isn't a puzzle missing someone else's piece. It's already whole. This mindset allows you to live more freely, without the weight of constant emotional attachment or dependency. Imagine life as a river, always flowing and changing. If you grasp too tightly to a single rock in the water, you risk being stuck, unable to move forward. But if you let go and flow with the current, you experience the freedom of change and growth. The same principle applies to our emotional lives. When we release our attachment to things or people, we become open to the infinite possibilities that life offers. An empowering thought to carry with you is that freedom arises from focusing on your own personal growth and embracing life's unpredictability. By dedicating time and energy to your own development, whether through learning, self-care, or pursuing your passions, you build emotional resilience. You realize that you can stand strong on your own, regardless of what comes your way. In essence, emotional freedom is not about detaching from love, but rather detaching from the need to control, possess, or rely on others to feel complete. By embracing this freedom, you free yourself from unnecessary emotional burdens, and you become more capable of experiencing love and joy in their purest forms. True emotional freedom is about loving deeply but without clinging. It's about enjoying life's beauty, while recognizing that you are enough, just as you are. Emotional detachment isn't about indifference. It's about liberation, strength, and the ability to live life on your terms. Rule 11. Understand the temporary nature of life. One of the core Stoic principles is understanding the fleeting nature of life. Everything we hold dear, whether relationships, possessions, or even emotions, is temporary. In the grand scheme of time, all things eventually fade away. This realization can initially feel uncomfortable, but it also serves as a powerful reminder to live more fully and appreciate what we have right now. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This quote encapsulates the essence of memento mori, a Stoic practice of meditating on mortality. By acknowledging that life is impermanent, we are encouraged to live with a sense of urgency and purpose, making the most of every moment. It's a reminder that the time we have is finite, and it is how we spend that time that shapes our lives. Practicing memento mori can take many forms. You could set aside a few minutes each day to reflect on the fact that your time is limited. This isn't meant to bring fear, but rather to help you focus on what truly matters. By reminding yourself of the temporary nature of life, you begin to appreciate what you have without clinging to it. You learn to cherish your relationships, possessions, and experiences, not because they are permanent, but because they are valuable in their impermanence. The key takeaway is that impermanence gives life meaning. If everything were permanent, we might take it all for granted. But knowing that things change and eventually end makes each moment more precious. Embracing the transient nature of life allows us to let go of unnecessary attachments and live more intentionally, making the most of the time we have. Rule 12. Separate fact from interpretation. One of the most empowering Stoic practices is the ability to distinguish between facts and interpretations. Life events themselves are neutral. What happens around us is neither inherently good nor bad. It is our judgments and interpretations that give them meaning. By learning to separate fact from interpretation, we gain more control over our emotional responses and can reduce unnecessary suffering. Epictetus wisely said, "Man is disturbed not by things, but by the views he takes of them." This profound insight reminds us that it's not the event itself that disturbs us, but the way we interpret it. For example, if someone cuts us off in traffic, the event itself is simply that a car moved into our lane. But how we interpret that event, whether we see it as an insult or just a mistake, will determine how we feel. We might experience frustration, anger, or indifference depending on our interpretation. To apply this Stoic wisdom, try the following exercise. When you encounter an emotional trigger, pause and ask yourself 2 questions. What happened? And what am I telling myself about it? For instance, if a colleague gives you constructive criticism, the fact is that they offered feedback. But your interpretation might be, they think I'm incompetent, or they're trying to undermine me. The second thought carries emotional weight, while the first is simply a neutral observation. By recognizing the difference between the event and our interpretation, we can reframe the situation. Instead of letting negative interpretations dictate our emotional responses, we can choose to see things differently. For example, instead of feeling threatened by criticism, we could view it as an opportunity for growth. This shift in perspective reduces the emotional weight of the situation, allowing us to maintain inner peace and resilience in the face of life's challenges. Rule 13. Let go of the need for closure. In life, not everything will have a clear conclusion or neat resolution. We often crave closure, an explanation, an apology, or some sort of finality to give us peace. However, Stoic philosophy teaches us that life doesn't always provide these tidy endings. In fact, the search for closure can sometimes trap us in the past, preventing us from moving forward. The Stoic insight here is profound. By seeking closure, we often cling to the past, trying to control something that we cannot change. This attachment to what could have been can create unnecessary emotional suffering. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us, it is not what happens to us, but how we respond to it that matters. If we continue to hold on to the idea that closure will bring peace, we might miss out on the potential for personal growth and emotional freedom in the present moment. Instead of waiting for closure, we can choose to accept uncertainty and move forward. Life is unpredictable, and not all relationships or experiences will have the perfect ending we hope for. The key to emotional freedom is to learn to live with the ambiguity of life, knowing that peace doesn't always come from resolving every open question. A practical way to release the need for closure is through journaling. Writing allows us to express unresolved feelings or thoughts without needing external validation or an answer from others. By putting our emotions on paper, we give ourselves a form of closure within, freeing ourselves from the need to revisit the past for healing. Journaling helps us let go of the urge to force closure on situations we cannot control, allowing us to embrace the present and move forward with greater emotional resilience. Rule 14. Anchor yourself in virtue. In the chaos of life, it's easy to get swept up in external circumstances, whether it's the opinions of others, fleeting successes, or challenging situations. However, Stoic philosophy encourages us to anchor ourselves in virtue, allowing our actions to reflect our core values, regardless of the turmoil around us. Virtue, as the Stoics define it, is the highest good and the only thing that truly belongs to us. Everything else, wealth, status, and even relationships is subject to change and is ultimately beyond our control. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, succinctly captures this idea in his quote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This profound insight challenges us to stop overthinking and start embodying the virtues we value. Instead of being distracted by external noise, we are encouraged to align our behavior with principles such as honesty, courage, and kindness. A powerful practice to cultivate this alignment is to regularly define your core virtues. What qualities do you want to guide your life? Is it integrity, compassion, bravery? Once you identify these, anchor your decisions and actions in them, especially when faced with emotional challenges. When emotions run high, ask yourself, what would the best version of myself do in this situation? This simple yet effective question can help you pause, recalibrate, and choose the virtuous path over reacting impulsively. By staying true to our virtues, we reclaim control over our lives, regardless of what is happening around us. Living in accordance with our values brings a deep sense of fulfillment and inner peace, providing us with a stable foundation in the face of life's uncertainties. Rule 15. Build calmness by embracing discomfort. In life, we often avoid discomfort, thinking that it will make us unhappy. But Stoic philosophy teaches that embracing discomfort can actually help us become stronger and more emotionally stable. By intentionally putting ourselves in situations where we experience discomfort, we train our minds to stay calm, even when things get tough. The Stoics believe that facing hardship willingly helps us prepare for the unexpected challenges life throws at us. For example, Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." This means that by practicing small hardships, like a cold shower or fasting, we can become more resilient and better equipped to handle bigger problems with calmness and control. One simple way to practice discomfort is by doing things that challenge you but are not dangerous. Taking a cold shower, for instance, might feel uncomfortable at first, but it teaches you to breathe deeply and stay calm. Similarly, fasting or limiting the time you spend on your phone can help you build self-control and detach from things that aren't essential. These small actions remind you that you don't need constant comfort or distractions to be happy. By practicing voluntary discomfort, we realize how little we actually need to feel content. This helps us let go of our attachments to things and builds emotional strength, so we can face life's ups and downs with a clear mind and steady heart. Rule 16. Revisit your expectations. Unmet expectations often lead to emotional pain. When we expect certain outcomes or behaviors from others, we set ourselves up for disappointment when things don't go as planned. The key here is to recognize that it's not the situation itself, but our judgment of it that causes distress. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, if you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them. To cultivate emotional freedom, we must regularly reassess our expectations of others and situations. This doesn't mean we shouldn't have standards or desires, but it does mean we should let go of rigid expectations that cause unnecessary frustration when they aren't met. Instead, practice a mindset of gratitude. Appreciate people when they exceed your expectations, and when they fall short, don't dwell on it. Acknowledge that everyone is human, and situations often unfold in unpredictable ways. By letting go of fixed expectations, we create space for peace of mind. Life becomes less about managing others' actions and more about cultivating our own responses, free from the stress of unmet desires. Rule 17. Be comfortable with solitude. Learning to enjoy your own company is one of the most empowering steps toward emotional freedom. In a world that constantly demands our attention from others, it's easy to forget the importance of solitude. Yet, True emotional strength comes from being comfortable in our own presence. As Marcus Aurelius wisely put it, nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. Solitude offers a peaceful space to reflect, recharge, and reconnect with your inner self. It's an opportunity to step away from the noise of the world and listen to your own thoughts and desires. By dedicating time each week to solitude, whether for reflection, creative pursuits, or simply being still, you create a sanctuary for your mind. This practice helps you rediscover your purpose, values, and what truly matters to you. Embrace solitude as a chance to strengthen your emotional foundation. It's not about being isolated from others, but about developing a deep connection with yourself. In solitude, you find clarity, resilience, and the ability to navigate life's challenges with a calm, centered mind. Rule 18. Don't take rejection personally. Rejection can sting, but it's important to remember that it's often more about the other person's circumstances, preferences, or mindset than it is about your value. People's actions and decisions are shaped by their own experiences, biases, and limitations, not your worth. This perspective frees you from the emotional weight that rejection can carry, allowing you to move forward without taking it personally. Philosophically, rejection is typically circumstantial. It reflects a mismatch between what you offer and what someone else needs or wants at that moment. It's not a reflection of who you are or your intrinsic value. As you navigate these situations, remind yourself, this isn't about me. It's about where they are in their life, their current needs or preferences. Instead of dwelling on rejection, focus on areas where you are accepted and celebrated. Seek out people and communities that appreciate you for who you are. By recognizing that rejection is not a measure of your worth, you empower yourself to maintain emotional balance and grow from each experience, rather than letting it define you. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who could use a little Stoic wisdom today.